Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this week's Smackdown live review. I thought the show was okay. I thought it was interesting actually. There was just a few bits that kind of left me a bit puzzled. Like the women, for example. There was 2 matches that were scheduled and neither of them got started. Even though the competitors were out there on both occasions, there was no women's match this week. That can't be good for this women's division to, not have a match or showcase what those women can do. Frustrating is the word I'd use for that. The show, it started really well. It had Shane and Daniel Bryan looking at what Orton had done on Raw. And they were saying, there'll be repercussions against you. You can't go around doing that. And the Beast's going to, come after you now. And they showed the security that they'd got hired. And I thought it was a good start. I enjoyed it. And then, The Miz came along, said that he wanted some respect. Didn't feel he was getting given respect. And they said there'd be a #1 contenders match. It's going to be a triple threat. It's going to be Baron Corbin, Kalisto, and Apollo Crews. As soon as they announced that, you knew Crews was winning it. Kalisto's held the US title not that long ago, and it wasn't the best of runs. Baron Corbin was never going to win, because you're not going to have Baron Corbin against The Miz. So you knew it was going to be Apollo Crews. But still, thought, well, it'll be interesting to see these 3. They're still 3 relatively new guys, and so it'll be good to see them in a triple threat, something a bit different. And then Dean Ambrose basically kicks off the show, says he's going to go out there and address his people. He goes out and really enjoyed this opening promo. He calls out Dolph Ziggler, says that he wants Mr. Booty Shaker to come out. Mr. Booty Shaker does come out, and there's this really passionate promo, but I thought Ambrose dealt with it really well. Ziggler turns around and says that, they're not the same, basically. They didn't start from the same point. He says that, you came in with the Shield. I was a male cheerleader. I've had to scratch and claw my way up. And, he gives this really passionate... He says he's going to go into Brooklyn. He's going to burn Brooklyn to the ground. And he's going to leave as champion. Because he's that damn good. To which Ambrose turns around and goes... Little bit of a pause. And he goes, no, you're not. And it was the way that he just put him down. It's really vicious because, Dolph had been so passionate in that promo, literally screaming in Ambrose's face. And Dean just goes, no, you're not. You're not that good. You're not as good as you think you are. And I thought they did a great job of making me want to watch this match. I think, Dolph just oozes passion. He can do it in the ring. He is a guy that's been held back for a long time. The problem they've got is because he's been held back for so long, they've got a very short window now of just a few weeks to turn him into this actual #1 contender, and work started on that tonight. And we'll get to that when we get to it, because really the segment ends with Ambrose leaving the ring. Wyatt's thing hits the screen, his little kind of clip, and then he's in the ring and he hits a Sister Abigail on Ziggler, and basically says, if you are that damn good, then prove it. You need to prove to me that you really are the #1 contender. And Wyatt says, I want you to put your #1 contendership on the line. I don't know, I struggle with it. Ziggler turns around and says, yes, that's fine, no one believes I'm the #1 guy, so by beating you I can prove that. But I just say, if he's been waiting this long, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. There's no need to do that. You've already beaten Bray. In last week's match, Bray had his chance. Bray could have won that match. He didn't. So you've already proven it. You haven't got to prove it. Now it's about winning it. And I don't know. This bit just didn't sit quite right with me, because I just don't think Ziggler would have gambled. But he did. And as soon as you knew that was what the main event was going to be, again, you knew Ziggler was going to win. They're not going to have built up and given Ziggler that passionate promo and, done all of this work for them to then just give it to Bray Wyatt. So I think the problem that Smackdown had was that its big matches just were very predictable. and as we said, you know, it's very frustrating what they did with the women. The first match of the evening was that Intercontinental title match, Cruz, Corbin, Kalisto. It was very short. Miz, I've noted down here, Miz talking about mentoring Daniel Bryan. I mean, he did that like 6 years ago, but I love the fact that they were still referencing it. Kalisto jumping on Cruz and hitting a Hurricanrana on Corbin. Cheap roll-up victory for Cruz. They didn't make Cruz look like a world beater. It was just a cheap roll-up. It was a very short match. Just a few nice moments in it, a few nice spots. Had a good pace to it, but not a great deal you can really talk about. Cruz goes forward, and so he'll face Miz for the Intercontinental title. I'm interested to see what Cruz has got to say on the mic. And I think this is good for both guys. I'm on board with it. As I said, I'm interested to see the build. Corbin attacked Kalisto after. Might that lead to a match in the future? What WWE are doing a great job of at the moment is making every match count. Every match has to have a purpose. You know, you're not seeing really any matches, and that really hit home because this week Randy Orton had a match against Fandango, and the reason was that at Battleground, Randy Orton kind of badmouthed Fandango. Fast forward a week or so, and now they're having a match because apparently Fandango wasn't happy about what Orton had said. Fantastic. That is fantastic. That is exactly the kind of thing WWE should be doing. They should be trying to find reasons why every match is happening, and they're doing a really good job. They've done a great job on that this week. Next up we had Becky Lynch, Eva Marie. There's new sidebars worth mentioning that I've not seen before. I really like them. It's when a superstar comes out. It's just got a few facts, like when did they debut, and when did they win their title, and who are they defending it against, and where are they defending it against next, and all that kind of stuff. Eva Marie's said was named to Maxim's hot list, right? That doesn't read right to me. Was named. Shouldn't it be was named in Maxim's hot list, not was named to Maxim's hot list? So even Eva Marie's sidebar information was botching, which is stunning. She came out to that voiceover the always charismatic, like this voiceover that's just talking about how she's amazing. She gets into the ring anyway. Becky Lynch is already in the ring. She goes up. She's like, saying hello to the crowd and whatnot. Jumps back down and then hurts her leg. Don't know if it was a hamstring or something, but she's making out that she can't go on. The referee's like she can't go on. That's it. She goes out the ring. It does a really good job. I mean, it's not a serious injury. It's not a real injury. It's storyline, but they're doing a really good job of making you hate her more. So now I think they're going to build up her coming to the ring. You'll see this in the future. She'll come to the ring. Something will happen. No, I can't do the match this week. No. I'll do it next week. And it'll fuel that hatred. That's the way that WWE are going with Eva Marie, and I think it's the right way to go with Eva Marie because she sure as hell can't showcase her wrestling ability. Backstage interview with Carmella. Natalya came out. Carmella told Natty to put on her crazy Catwoman suit and that they'd have a match, and so that was scheduled for later. Natty talking about how she was chatting to Brett and how it needs like a strong female leader of this women's division, and that wasn't Carmella. Next up, we had Vaudevillains against American Alpha. I'm a big Vaudevillains fan, so I love seeing them in the ring. American Alpha came out. They got compared to like the Steiner brothers, which is a brilliant comparison by JBL. And I've said it before, you should listen to JBL. Gets a lot of grief, and he's not a great commentator, but he does know an awful lot about wrestling history, and so does Muro Ranillo. And both of those guys at times just come out with absolute gold. I think was it during this match that George Hackenschmidt got a mention. George Hackenschmidt, kind of regarded and classed as the first world heavyweight champion, but you're going back to the early 1900s, late 1800s. Fantastic that Hackenschmidt gets a mention on Smackdown Live in 2016. So leg scissor takedown, nice drop kick from Jordan, diving double clothesline from Gable. Great strikes from Aiden English in reverse. He says, "You're not making a name off of me, boy." There was a savant of suplexes, according to Miro Ranillo, by Jason Jordan. Grand amplitude win for Alpha, and it was good. It was a good opening match. I think they showcased themselves well. I just feel bad for Vaudevillains. I really want them to get into a feud, and but I just don't know what teams there are for them to feud with. Maybe the Usos. Didn't see the Usos this week. Maybe Usos Vaudevillains might just be, it might just be a good little program that can play out on SmackDown or go on a pre-show or something. So, Team Choice. They were just recapping all of that. John Cena's work and the Bellas winning, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Styles, John Cena promo segment is all right. Soccer mom hair chant. Styles saying his problem is he keeps beating up John Cena. John Cena doesn't go away. He says he has to go at the kids. He says he doesn't want John here. He says the kids are delusional. Says parents are delusional. Says John Cena's delusional. Cena says that he's there out of love. He says that it always will be, has been, still is home WWE for him, and said that AJ has proven that if he doesn't succeed, he's quite happy to move around, which I thought was quite a dig. AJ says that this is the Cena that never backs down from a challenge, so I'm going to issue you a challenge. SummerSlam, one-on-one, no club, so the match is made. No surprises. I hope the club don't interfere. I hope it is one-on-one, and I hope that Styles picks up the victory, because I think Styles needs it. Styles won that match before, but he had help from the club, and he can brag all he wants, but it's not putting him over. He needs a big win. He needs, he just came through a program where he didn't get the victory over Roman when Roman was champion. He then looked weak because he needed the help of the club against Cena. He needs the win, and I fear that Cena's going to pick up the victory at SummerSlam, which will lead to a third match where probably Cena will win again. Next we get that Fandango Randy Orton match. And Fandango was called the Ballroom Brute, which made me laugh. David Otunga's commentary as well, I noticed in this bit. It sounds like 2K sound bites. He's like talking as if Randy Orton can hit the RKO literally out of nowhere. And it's just like little individual sound bites that Otunga comes out with. Otunga doesn't seem to be able to have conversations back and forth, like any kind of banter. He just keeps coming out with little facts, which you would just imagine to hear whilst he was playing on 2K17. I actually don't hate Otunga's commentary. It's quite nice to just have, little bits dropped in every now and again. It's like Dolph Ziggler is a 2-time world champion, and he is now aiming to become a champion for a 3rd time. It's like, okay, thanks. Yeah, it's all right. I don't hate it. I might grow to hate it though. But yeah, the moment, wasn't it? The moment. Who thought Lesnar was going to be on SmackDown? I didn't. I didn't think they were going to pay the money to have Lesnar appear on SmackDown for a minute. Have Lesnar appear without advertising it in advance. Lesnar is box office. Lesnar is, everywhere. Everyone knows Brock Lesnar. So to have him appear without advertising it, I just didn't think they would do it. But out he comes, and they show him kind of standing in the crowd, and then he jumps over, gets into the ring, hits the F5 on Randy Orton, and then kind of leaves. Great bit backstage because we see Heyman. I didn't think Heyman was there, but you can see Brock and Heyman jumping into the car, going, we're going, and they speed off. Paul says something actually that kind of bothered me, and that was as they were walking off. He said, "You've got to admit, Daniel," or I can't remember if it was Daniel Shane. He says, "It was cool," and he jumps into the car. And the reason that bothered me is because that's what Brian had said at the start of the show, and it bothers me because it means that Paul must have watched that, and I don't know why that bothered me, because I think it was because they kind of made it out as if Lesnar had just appeared out of nowhere, and they were jumping in the car. It was a smash grab. It was like Lesnar was there, now Lesnar's gone. But if they're watching the start of the show and they're watching what is being said, how did they do that? Did they do that in the car? Were they in the building when the show had started? I don't know. It's a silly thing. It's a silly thing. Another silly thing is that Heath Slater said that he wanted to get signed. He wanted a chance. And so Daniel Bryan says, okay, you can have a chance. You can have a match next week. How about you have a match against someone, and if you win, then you can have a contract. And Heath Slater says, what, Jumpin' Marty Lundy? And Daniel goes, who the hell's that? And I'm sat there going, who's the hell's that? And Heath goes, you know, the guy that Jericho made up on Monday. No, it wasn't the guy that Jericho made up on Monday. It wasn't Jumpin' Marty Lundy. I know, because I wrote it down, because I do these reviews. It was Jimin Marvin Leuven. It's silly things now that are bothering me. I think I'm losing my mind. Carmella came out anyway for her match, gets jumped, as we said, by Natalya. Natalya slaps on the sharpshooter, so you know that's going to be a feud, but it's just frustrating there was no women's match. They keep talking about this Talking Smack, which is a new backstage kind of after show, which is on the network. It's a pretty good idea because you get a Raw pre-show, so they're now doing a Smackdown after show. I don't think they do Smackdown pre-shows. So, Talking Smack this week was with American Alpha. I gotta be honest, I never watched those things. But yeah, might have been worth a watch. And then we get to the main event, Ziggler Wyatt for that #1 contenders. Had a good pace. Ziggler hits a famouser right at the start. There was an elbow drop. There was a senton from Wyatt. Wyatt unties the top turnbuckle. You knew that would play a part in the finish. Zigzag and Bray kicks out. Wyatt rolls. Hits the Sister Abigail and Dolph rolls out of it. Wyatt absolutely spikes Dolph, like gets him up here and just hurls him down. It's brutal. It's brilliant, but it's brutal. That led to a 2 count. There's a super kick. Wyatt goes into the corner, hits his head off that turnbuckle. 3 count, 1, 2, 3. Show finishes. Very passionate Dolph Ziggler kind of confronting Dean Ambrose. I thought, right, this was action-packed. I thought that it had a decent pace to it. I thought it was a nice surprise with Brock Lesnar. Kind of paints that image of you really don't know what's going to happen at any time. But I just thought that a lot of the matches either didn't start or you knew what was going to happen. And yeah, they're still behind Raw, comfortably behind Raw. But it was nice to see Orton, Styles, Cena, Lesnar, Ambrose, Ziggler, Wyatt, American Alpha. They've got stars. They've got stars. So I don't think they're ever going to struggle. And I don't think people will stop watching SmackDown because they've got some big names. But as I said, thought it was all right. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you enjoyed it, didn't enjoy it. If you're looking forward to next week's show, if you preferred Raw, if you prefer SmackDown, drop it in the comments, or you can jump over to Twitter or Facebook. Really appreciate it as well if you'd give the video a like if you liked it. Really appreciate that. Obviously you can follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Wrestling Days UK, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate that as well. So thanks a lot for watching, and hopefully see you again next time. Bye for now.